It's time for Who Watch, time and relative blackness in space.
The box.
Hi everyone, this is by Anna and Connie coming to you live from the Time Vortex. Robin is off in the library somewhere and on some other planet, but she should be back next week.
Today we're discussing episode 9 of Doctor Who, season 10, Empress of Mars. In this episode, the Doctor plays peacemaker, Bill's opinion is the only one that matters, and Nardole does an unwise thing.
Oh, you can discuss that just shortly.
It was a bad idea.
So yeah, this is Mars, 1881.
That's
you wrote
really
that on
funny.
You wrote it on our agenda, and I immediately read it in a Hamilton voice.
That's
just
hilarious
saying.
because I read it as Golden Girls. Like, I wrote it, and then after that, I was like, picture it, Mars, 1881. And I was like,
the British and aliens.
Right.
Like, okay, Sophia. That's hilarious.
It's really funny.
But this episode was basically, and it's probably because the fake new movie's out this weekend, but this episode seemed very mummy in certain parts of it. The one with Brendan Fraser, obviously, with, sort of white people colonizing and, like, taking indigenous people's artifacts, and then it turns on them and they're surprised.
Right.
Like, why are you surprised that this failed so
this whole episode I was just like,
you went to a place that you had no business going, and then you were shocked and appalled when it turned on you.
Yeah. This entire episode I was just
anyway.
like, white people. Like, what did you expect? I was confused. I definitely got like Egyptian vibes though, for sure. Mm-hmm. Like the
especially
tomb and
that guy like went for the jewels or like whatever shining gem it looked like.
He's
when
Mary
she woke
Trent,
up,
by the way. That's Sir Mary Trent from I've been watching it, so I was like, wait, hey, his face is a little cleaner. You know what I mean? Like he doesn't look like a terrible person. I mean, he was still not a great person in this episode, but he's not as bad. So I was like, that's interesting. It took me a second, and then I was like, hey, I know who you are.
The UK only has 6 actors.
Exactly.
So. But there was a lot of mummy in there, and obviously a lot of colonialism, which, I don't know, it's just an interesting... The way that this season has been going, it's just continuing the sort of interesting way that they're kind of recognizing things that I think they've glossed over a little bit more before. Not that they went super hard on colonialism in any explicit way.
Yeah, I don't think they really did.
The obvious, except for the obvious, look, you did bad, and then it comes and like bites you in the butt. But there was at least some acknowledgement of like, hey, look, we have a past of colonialism.
Right.
Maybe it wasn't the smartest. I felt
like they kind of like, they were like, we have this past of colonialism, which is like a thing that they've, like, British television often like does, you know, period pieces on that, but it's a lot more like nostalgic. And I think that they like didn't do that, but I also think that they kind of put all of the onus on Catchlove, who was like the bad guy of this episode. Like they put it all on him as like him being the one, versus it being like all these British soldiers are on Mars and they're like mining for gems on Mars, and there's clearly like people who are here and they're chill. You know what I mean? Like there are all these other things that weren't really explored or like said. It was kind of like they wanted to go, but they didn't go. Were like afraid to like really
Yeah,
take
there's
it there.
not a lot
I feel
of
like.
time to, like, get into all of it. But I guess we can just, like... So we meet the Ice Warriors, or I guess we re-meet them.
Yeah.
Your notes say there was a season 7 episode with them. I don't remember that one.
Cold War. It took me a second. I was like, I saw them and I was like, Ice Warrior, and then I couldn't remember where I had heard of them before or seen them. I was like, where is this from? But it was that one episode where the Doctor and Clara
No wonder I don't remember.
They shoot. Where did they land? Right, they landed in like on a Soviet ship, like during the Cold War. And then, like, there was an Ice Warrior on the ship, and then he woke up, and he started wreaking havoc, and then it was gonna, like, end the Cold War because he was gonna blow something up, basically. And there was some other shit that happened in there, too. There was another not Doctor Who, Game of Thrones actor in there, too. Davos is in that episode. But, yeah, but it was just one Ice Warrior,
like a
and
submarine?
he was, like... Yeah, it was like a submarine, I think.
That submarine episode? Okay.
Yeah. So, but that time, the Ice Warrior was very clearly the bad guy. So I thought it was cool that they brought it back in a way where, like, they're not really. Yeah, I thought that was interesting, for sure.
Wait, quick question. So, Ice Warriors speak English? Because the TARDIS disappeared.
Yeah.
And the translation circuit apparently still works. It took me a long time because I was like, obviously, all the humans in this episode are British, so it doesn't really matter. But then I was like, wait, these aliens speak awful good English. Right. And, like, a lot of it it's not like they were aliens that were just grunting or whatever. Like, she spoke full sentences in English and had no problem, but she's been asleep for 5,000 years.
Right.
How?
Right.
Just questions that I had because I think they just forgot that the TARDIS disappeared.
Right. And this show does not do a good job of that, like, at all. Like, in terms of, like, for languages. Like, they explain it away at the beginning, like, oh, it's a TARDIS translation circuit, and, like, that's why you can understand what they're saying.
Which was already a sort of, like, glossing over.
Understand? Like, that already is like, okay. But then it's like, but why can everyone else understand? Like, why aren't you translating? Like, even in the monks, in the last little chunk of the season, like, okay, fine. Bill and the Doctor can understand what the monks are saying, but why can everyone else? Or the damn, why couldn't we understand what the Pope was saying?
That one just made no kind of sense because everyone else spoke English.
And I'm like,
and the TARDIS was there.
And the TARDIS is there, so I don't understand why you don't.
And it's like the only time that they've really ever had a character speak a different language and the Doctor not understand. Yeah. Because usually if the Doctor doesn't understand, they make a reference to the fact that the translation circuit isn't working or whatever. So I don't know. Yeah. Maybe this week the Doctor maybe the Sonic is a translation circuit that spreads that. Like, they at least need to just throw in a line.
Yeah, something. Because I was really sitting there like, how are they having these conversations?
I was confused.
And then, like, they understand gender in the same way, which I felt like was weird, but also it ended up being fine because we got some, like, Bill in there, but...
Yeah, especially because she's a queen of an alien race, so I don't understand why it just feels weird that she kind of knew that Bill was out of place, but not in a way of, like, there should be more of you. She just, like, understood that Bill was the girl and that they weren't letting her talk. As opposed to, in her situation, like, you're the girl, you should be talking because, like, you should already have been in the front of the room in the alien's eyes, like in, what was her name? Arax? Or I really liked her name.
Araxa? Maybe?
Araxa. I just really liked that. I don't know. But her sort of, like, noticing of Bill could have been placed in a different way in terms of, I'm noticing you, I will only speak to you, so that's what she did, but it was sort of like, I want to hear your opinion, as opposed to, you should be giving me your opinion, because obviously we're women and we're in charge.
It was a real, like, 2017 feminist moment that made not a lot of sense on Mars, in 1881. I was just like, why would she understand it that way? And... like, it was fine, and I actually did like that part. Like, I liked that she reached out to Bill in that way. I think I wrote down the quote somewhere, but I liked that, but it still confused me a little bit in terms of, like world building, I guess.
So if we I guess we can just like go into the colonialism aspect of the episode. And I don't know, just watching the whole episode, I'm like, you guys are idiots. And like, it's interesting to watch it in terms of aliens because they're different species, but the episode did attempt to make clear, actually no, that's kind of a lie, but like, these are colonialists. These are British people who I think were, stationed in South Africa or something, or somewhere in Africa, and somehow ended up on Mars. And just the way that they're treating this alien race, as people of color... But it was like,
they were already in a place for colonialism, right? Like, y'all weren't in the UK, you were in friggin' South Africa. You weren't in Britain. You weren't in London.
Yeah. And so, watching them just be British all over Mars was sort of just like, ugh, those poor Africans and poor Indians, and you just, I don't know, just my brain kept, like, flashing to, like, different, like, actual people cultures. They would just go in and be like, well, it's the British Empires now. What you mean? How you just gonna claim Mars is a part of the British Empire?
Just because you happen to... It's a
planet!
Just because you just, like, happen to be there. Now,
really?
Like...
Like, the gall.
Right?
To just show up. Like, I'm just gonna show up into your apartment and be like, this is mine now.
Right? The caudacity is what it is.
Yes. The caudacity, the caucasity, whichever word you want to use.
That's what it is.
And that poor brother, was in there. I was
trying to figure out what was going on with him. I was really, like, the whole episode, I was like, so what's happening with this dude? Because I'm confused. And nobody's gonna mention it. So I'm gonna just...
No one mentioned it, which was kind of upsetting because I both appreciated that they were like, look, 1881 Britain, it's the sort of same thing that they've been doing all season when they go back to the past. It's like, oh snap, look, we actually have cast people of color in these background extra kind of roles. But then you really think about it in this particular context, and you're like, but... And
I mean, it's not to say that they didn't, because I'm sure they had black people in, like, their army, right? Yes. My thing was, like, they didn't explain any of that, and not, like, explain it like, this is how he got here, but... I felt like
he didn't need a long thing, but he had a whole backstory and everything.
There was some kind of, like, thing missing, right? Because, okay, so you're in 1881. Missing. Slavery is maybe just been abolished in most places.
Yeah, I think the U.S. was, like, one of the I think the UK definitely abolished it before.
Well, the UK, they've abolished it. But what I'm saying is that it's still in that same century, and, like, Britain is literally just going around the world planting flags and shit places like, we live here now, this is ours. Welcome to the British Empire. And so, like, how does this dude navigate that? And then, you know them white folks is racist. They out here just, like...
Especially because the way they treat these aliens. Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. Like, you can see it right there, but then it didn't go... Again, it was like, didn't get hit all the way. And like Bill wasn't really saying anything, and I was just like, I like this episode, but I'm missing something.
At the very least, I wanted her to go up to him and be like, you okay, bro? And that's all I would have needed. That's maybe all I would have needed. Like, I don't know that I would have needed more than that.
It's the second time that we had her with another, like, black person, and they haven't had, like, the interaction that they should have.
Yes.
But again, I'm wondering if that's because the writers are... like, don't understand that that's what happens. If you're the only two black people in this situation, you're gonna have a conversation.
You gonna nod at something? At least a nod.
You're gonna acknowledge each other.
You acknowledge each other. And, like, yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Because now I'm thinking about, like, the other two times that she's seen black people. And one of them was, like, with the little girl in Victoria, like, Regency, England or whatever. Mm-hmm. And they actually did get to speak. But the other times, she has not gotten to speak to the other black people.
And I'm just like, I don't think you understand how this works.
How black people work.
Yeah, you don't.
We literally live in a society and in a world constantly where we're always outnumbered. So you see another black person, you be like, hey, what's up? You don't know each other. That don't mean anything. You just give them a nod.
Yeah.
You be like, yo.
You don't have to know. You don't have to have a full conversation. At the very least, be like, hey, we both on Mars. That's weird, huh? That's so weird. Like,
we both ended up here? Oh, snap. Small world. Small universe.
something.
Small universe. And you know how chatty Bill is, so it's really weird that she don't go up to other black people like, you alright? Alright, you cool? Alright, great. And then move on. Just something real quick.
Yeah, something about this episode felt Bill light to me. I don't know why.
Yeah. She was, like, in it, and she had, like, purpose, but it was kind of Bill light. But also, it was also Nardole light.
That's true.
Which is fine,
Which
obviously.
I was fine with.
But
I was worried at the beginning.
Yeah.
And then the TARDIS left, and I was like, fine. You don't want him here either. That's why you my girl.
We'll get back to that part later. But it did feel very Bill light. She was kind of like in the background for a lot of it, and then they were like, oh yeah, she should do something. So I don't know how I feel about it in terms of that, because it's unclear what they really replaced it with, because it's not like we got a whole, like, focus on the Ice Warriors, and it's not like, I mean, I guess there are just a lot of colonial characters to keep up with. It's just like a weird, like, some of her time maybe got replaced with, like, kind of focusing on all of the different dudes who were colonizing, and then the Ice Warriors and stuff. But I don't know. I agree with what you're saying, but it's hard to say, like, this is exactly what took up her her screen time or whatever.
Mm-hmm. I just feel like they didn't, like, insert her in there as much, to the point where, like, when the Ice Queen called out Bill, I forgot she was there. And that's the first time I've ever forgotten about Bill. I never want that to ever happen again. But I was like, oh shit, we do have a companion here, right? Like, what has she been doing this whole time? Just sitting in the back. Like, I was like, oh fuck, how did I forget? Because it was all, like, maybe it was, like, the doctor's kind of, I don't even think it was that. I was going to say, like, his kind of dilemma, but I don't even think it was that. I don't know.
No. Yeah. Also, in terms of these white dudes just going around colonizing everything, you see an alien, and I mean, I guess there is, we already know that white people who are colonizing people feel like they're the advanced society and everybody else is primitive, which, side note, I really enjoyed when the doctor told the Ice Warrior race, like, these primitive people, and they were like, hey! He's like, shut up.
Right.
He's just like, no, be quiet. But it's just so colonial of them, for them to see an ancient alien and be confused, and then just think that, oh, he wants to help us? Great. Because we're the best. You really thought that Friday had no ulterior motive? You really thought that he was just doing it because you were awesome and powerful?
Right.
Really? Okay. Sure. No. I don't think so.
The whole time Friday was there, I was like, ain't no way he's just sitting here. Like, he got a plan.
Right. There's no way he's just, like, serving you tea and crumpets and, like, helping you to rebuild your ship with no other plan. Okay. But that just shows you how their brains work.
Just arrogant, and I was just sitting there like, I need all these people to go, just to leave.
Yes, absolutely.
I want to shout out Queen Victoria. They had, like, the portrait, and it was the same actress from season 2. I just looked up real quick, so like, real slickly, like, I just looked up when that episode was set. So it was set in 1879. So at this point, she's already a werewolf, or at least has werewolf blood. So there's that.
Yes.
So, timeline-wise, that's where we are in the story.
Just keeping y'all, abreast of what's happening.
Like, if you're trying to do, like, a full timeline, in
the very linear timeline of Doctor Who.
Right. If you're trying to figure it out, that happens, and then this happens.
Yes.
So,
I wonder if someone's tried to do that. Like, have a timeline of episodes. Like, I would only include New Who just for simplicity.
Oh, yeah.
But having some sort of timeline of, like, from, 1 AD to now, this is where the Doctor, like, even just include just this side of the millennia, like, just after 1 AD, a timeline of, like, the Doctor Who, when the Doctor Who episodes take place, and how many of them, like, stack up as, like, happening at the same time. Because we were talking a few weeks ago about how, the Doctor is stuck in Britain for, like, 50 years, and how there are other hymns running around, like, 17 at least in one day. all running around, like, saving different parts of the UK at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
And usually just London or Cardiff. Like, it's a very small subset. That's like living in New York City and just having everything happen in, like, 7 different versions of yourself, saving people in different parts of Manhattan.
Right.
So, I don't know. That would be an interesting and very confusing graph, which is why I'm not volunteering.
I would do that if I had time.
Do that.
It sounds like a thing I would do, but it would take forever, and I don't have that kind of time. So, if I had a TARDIS, I would do it. Nobody does.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, so the next thing I guess we can talk about is, I guess, the, like, kind of the doctor within all of this. Like, he has this dilemma because he's like, the humans are in the wrong at this moment, but the Ice Warriors are gonna fuck shit up regardless. So he's like, I don't want everyone to die, but
right.
also the invaders are wrong at this moment. Mm-hmm. And what was, like, kind of, like, I don't know, it was one of these moments that I thought was not problematic, but it's also kind of tricky because, so the doctor, like, goes and tells the Ice Queen when she first wakes up, like, you don't want to do this, like, let's just, you know, be peaceful about it, like, let them do, and I was just kind of like, what are you saying, though, right? Like, let the humans come through and colonize your shit and take all your gems and, like, put you to work, probably, because you got Friday came to help them, and all of a sudden he's serving them tea. So I'm like, you're basically like, telling her to be like, to, like, lay down and take it, basically, like, be colonized, it's fine, it's better than all these, like, it's better than them dying. So it felt real like like the doctor was complicit in that, which was, like, kind of icky, but also makes sense, I feel like, within his character. As someone who just realized racism was a thing, like, I feel like that made sense to me. Like, I don't know. It was kind of an interesting moment, I feel like.
It was an interesting balance. What was there was something that came into my mind. The line he says at the end about, like, that's always been my problem, thinking like a warrior. Mm-hmm. I feel like that ties in a little bit to his, like, trying to balance peace, because it's just like, this is just how he thinks, and he's either, I guess, trying to fight off somebody or trying to stop people from fighting. So there's some sort of, like, devil's advocate position that he kind of takes a lot in terms of, like, trying to stop everybody from fighting. And I think, actually, having watched more Capaldi than I had when I first made this sort of comparison about which Hogwarts house each doctor's in, I would say that I've always kind of just lumped Capaldi's doctor into Slytherin because all the other ones are more clear. So 9 being a Gryffindor, 10 being a Ravenclaw, and 11 being a Hufflepuff. So it was just like, well, must be Slytherin.
Right.
But I feel like some of his playing both sides is very Slytherin in terms of being very cunning and very, like, well, I have to protect people, so I'm going to say this thing to you and say this thing to you because I know it's what's going to help you both make the decision that I want you to make in terms of nobody killing each other. So this was actually the first time, like, when you said that, it was the first time where I've actually been able to justify sorting 12 into Slytherin, because he's obviously not evil, but also obviously not all Slytherins are evil. So looking at the other traits of being sly and cunning and sort of really smart about getting what they want, 12 does fit those characteristics, because he really balanced, like, hey, you, don't do this because they're stupid. Hey, you, don't do this because you're stupid.
Right.
So it was kind of icky, but also I think it kind of played into him using what he thought would help save the day. Mm-hmm.
And that's why it was, like, it was complicated, right? Because he's also like, I want everybody to live. That's the plan.
And then it failed.
Plan. So, miserably. And then it did fail. But I like that it was, like, bloodless, right? They shot him and they turned into little, like, packs. It was like folded
I was
clothes.
confused.
I was like, what is that?
so confused as to like how that happened. Like, did they just go somewhere and they're naked, or did they actually die?
Right.
I don't know.
It's just like, whoosh, and now they're like a pack of clothes, and then recycle those.
Wait, did the brother die? Because I was confused and I lost track. And then I never saw him at the end.
Ketchlove pushed him in the way because like he used him as a shield. Because again, that was the only moment where I was like, "Yep, that's believable." Because like that's
what they use them for.
Right. Like, oh shit, I'm not finna die. It's about to be you. That was the only other time. That was like, yeah. So I think he died.
The poor guy had this whole little. Gave him like personality that like I have to go home and marry Alice, and I was like, that just killed you.
As soon as I was like, you dead, man. I was like, he's dying.
I was so upset. I was like, and then the ice warrior started coming out of the ground, and he survived that moment, and I was like, all right. And then by the end of the episode, I didn't see him again, and I was like, did I blink and miss his death? Come on.
Yeah, homeboy pushed him in the way.
So upsetting.
Because he was a terrible person. He was the worst. Okay, really quickly because I want to get to Nardole, but before that, there is still no wood setting in the sonic screwdriver. And I'm not understanding why the doctor hasn't fixed that. Because he keeps running into wood and...
But also he keeps being surprised. Like, have you not been working on it? Is it something that you can't fix? Like, it's not like he's like, yeah, this doesn't do... Like, at first it was like, this doesn't do wood. And then it's like, wait, this still doesn't do wood? Like, he's expecting it to figure wood out?
Right. Just all of a sudden.
Or he has to figure it out himself. Like, he's expecting one day for it to work on wood. Is what I got from the way he said it. At least once. Because I think the 50th anniversary, it just took like 5,000 years or something weird like that. Like, they're like, this is the same screwdriver and it's wood, but if we wait long enough, it'll have learned something timey-wimey that doesn't quite make sense, but I didn't really care in the episode because all the doctors.
And it was lit. Exactly. Because it was lit, and that's why.
Yeah.
Like, I'll watch the episode whenever.
But he keeps being surprised that it doesn't do wood, and I'm like, you either need to do something about it or expect that it is never going to do anything.
But he tries every time. He tries every time.
Yeah, I'm surprised he didn't try a couple episodes when, with the house, which was all wood. And he used the Sonic a couple times, but I was really surprised he wasn't like, still!
Really right. Yeah, that's how I was surprised he didn't say anything about it, because I felt like that, because I wish Bill had been like, what do you mean? So it just does everything else.
Or she would have been like, why aren't you just using the Sonic? And he was like, well, there's one thing it does not do. Yeah.
Yeah, okay, so Nardole let Missy out of the vault. And onto the TARDIS. Well, first of all, why did the TARDIS disappear? They never actually explain or get into what happened. Like, he just showed up and the TARDIS... Okay, no, I was like, the TARDIS brought them there. But no, they went there on purpose because of whatever they were doing at the beginning of the episode. And it just was like, oops, I'm gonna leave 12 and Bill behind? Yeah.
So I'm suspicious as to why the TARDIS left.
There had to be some reason, and like I feel like they might explain it. I thought they would. Well, because I know there's been other times
the only explanation is Missy.
Right, because I feel like there's been other times where the TARDIS does weird things and they explain it like, oh shit, this is a thing that happened, or we weren't able to do this.
Right, but usually the Doctor's in it.
Right. Right.
So that's why I'm like, was this a Missy thing that she could do from remotely?
Or maybe it has something to do with the
other master?
Previous, with the master, like...
Yeah.
But I don't know.
Because we are winding down now.
We are. Wow.
Yeah.
Fast, right?
I know. I looked at it, I was just like, oh snap, it's about to be episode 10?
Yeah.
Woo! It's about to go down for midnight. So my main thing was like, why did it disappear? Because it didn't disappear on its own. It waited until Nardole was in the TARDIS. So maybe it needed somebody in there.
I was just like,
I don't know.
She doesn't like him and was like, don't mess with their fun. Bye, we're leaving.
But like, she can sense danger, so she should have known that they would have needed her. And then so that's why, I hope they explain that next time.
Yeah, I hope so too, because that was weird. And then also, it was strange that, like, he let Missy out. Like, he's been nagging the doctor all season to stay and guard the vault.
Like a mother.
Literally
like
all season. You have to stay.
Just, like,
you can't
literally
go
with
anywhere.
his finger nagging at him.
Right.
How dare you leave?
But he's not only the reason that that the doctor saved Missy in the first place, or I guess, like, River, like, he is through River or whatever, or River is through him, but then he lets her out, but this whole time you've been like, we can't open the vault. There's something going on. You can't leave. Like,
wherever they were, like, at the very beginning of the episode, I don't know what time that was. Like, was that present day?
Present day. But I wasn't sure.
So, like, Nardole's, like, with them in the present day, going to see these, these NASA people, whatever they were.
Right. He's, like, done nagging
talk about,
them.
Look at Mars. But then he lets them go to 1881 Mars. Mm-hmm. Without being like, but you need to stay here because of the vault. Like, he just abandoned his cause.
Right.
And it's like nothing.
Let her out.
Very little that we've seen.
I was like, okay, this is strange that he's, like, traveling with them without any, like, complaining. And then it was like, okay, but you just defeated the whole purpose of the vault, right? Like, of the whole reason for being here.
Like, nothing we've seen since the reveal of who's, like, in the vault has made it for Nardole to not be as worried anymore.
Yeah.
Like, if there were some scene where, if any of the last, like, few episodes had some sort of... They haven't even interacted, like Missy and Nardole, so there's nothing to say that... If there had been a scene in the last few episodes where it was like, oh, now I understand, we can leave, cool... But there was nothing, like, in Nardole's mind, from our perspective, it's all been the same. There's Missy in the vault, and she's terrible, and we need to stay here and guard it, because we still have, like, a bajillion more years, or another 50 or so. I forget exactly how long she was supposed to stay in the vault. But we still have more time to watch her, so why are we leaving? Like, he says nothing. It's all very strange. And then he's just like, I need your help. And I'm just like, really? You gonna trust her? You gonna trust that she's like, well, I have to show you. That is the last thing. That is obviously the words of someone who's trying to get out of prison.
Like, this is a terrible idea. She's gonna take the TARDIS and she's gonna, like, do some shit with it, go on a joyride. And so I was surprised that they even showed up and she was there still. You know what I mean? Like, I was surprised that they even got saved because, like, what? And I guess, technically, in the last episode, we were seeing that, like, she is trying to be good and she's starting to feel remorse. I guess. And, like, all that kind of stuff, right? Maybe. That's what she says.
I don't know.
That's what she says.
Yes, right.
And so I was confused. So then I was like, once she was there, I was like, okay. So maybe, like, this is part of it. Is, like, she's still trying to, like, unless she's just playing the long game, which I don't put past her at all.
Exactly.
But then there was, like, a weird thing that happened at the end. Like, the doctor saw her. But then it was, like, more than him just being like, oh, shit, you're on the TARDIS. There was, like, music that was playing that sounded familiar, but I couldn't, like, place it. And then, like, Missy asked him if he was okay, and I was like, what's going on here?
And then it kind of abruptly ended, and I was like, but what does that mean?
Yeah.
And obviously that's, you know, to hook us to the next episode, but what does she mean? Are you all right? Because she looked at him for 5 seconds. Like, how would she know he's all right or not all right?
Right.
It's been 2 seconds. He just showed up. You just showed up with his TARDIS. Of course he's going to look at you funny. You supposed to be in prison.
Yeah. It was a weird.
Yeah.
It was weird.
But again, we're winding down, so we'll see.
Right. Like, it's not like
there are any consequences to Nardole. We'll see if... we'll just see. And I didn't see the preview for next week, so I don't know what they showed in terms of any of that.
I didn't see Missy in it, so... But that doesn't mean that she's not in it. I just didn't see her. Because we didn't see her in the one for this one either, so... Not really sure.
Right. Is it Bill Fields' time? Yay, Bill Fields. It's tongue twister a little bit. But as we said, it's sort of a Bill light episode, so there isn't actually that much, but Bill's hair was great. I'm enjoying the versatility with which they're portraying her hair, but also it is a very clear, like, look, last week her hair was straight. This week it still needs to be straight because it has not gotten wet yet. Like, there was something real. Like, they haven't been going back and forth between, like, straight and curly. It was sort of like, here's a bunch of curly episodes, here's a few straight episodes in a row, and there's been enough time, you know, like, the time has been worked out between them, like, there was never any, like...
extension braid this time. She was
and it's not like the episodes... It's not like the episodes have been like, ooh, 5 seconds later, and her hair is different. You know, I mean, yeah. So it's not like there's been, like, a two-parter where her hair was like, oh, snap, how did she fix her hair in 10 hours? So the consistency has been pretty good. So I can't wait to see how they continue the hair game.
Right.
I enjoyed the bun. The braid.
Yeah, me too. I also... Like, again, like we kind of mentioned before, like, there was no real mention of her race, but more of her gender. It felt like a girl power episode is what it felt like. Like, there was that moment where she said she was the police. That she said she and the doctor were the police, and dude started laughing. He was like, a woman on the police force. Ha, 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 that's hilarious.
Even though there's no way a black person would be on the police force in Britain in 1881.
1881?
Like, I feel like it should have been... I don't know. Maybe they were trying to avoid some of the things that we were talking about that they did avoid, in terms of, like, really getting into the race stuff, because obviously that was a high intense situation at that time.
Yeah.
Actually, forever and always, for all of time. But it's not just that she was a woman,
right?
It's really not just that she was a woman. And that's not the first thing, I don't know. It's hard being a black woman because you're literally both always at the same time, and neither of them are things you can hide. So it's like, it's literally because she's also black.
Yeah.
So it is kind of like, I think that the show, it makes sense kind of that the show wouldn't mention it, but it doesn't make sense that the character didn't mention it, because... he's a racist white dude who's, like, going to colonize people.
Right.
And he was, like, one of the...
That's what they
are. But it was homeboy, the deserter, right?
Yeah.
Who mentioned it. So it's like, I guess they're trying to portray him as, like, not as bad. But, I don't know. But because they didn't actually go into any of the race stuff, it's sort of, like, kind of, like, it didn't really, like, separate those two guys. I had a thought. Oh. I love when Bill gets all riled up and she's like, I'm gonna excuse your Victorian attitudes.
Oh, yeah.
Because, wait, hold up. You are Victorian.
Yeah.
About that, she just stopped.
She was like, oh,
but I love that she got so riled up. Well, I'm gonna excuse your Victorian attitudes. Hold up. And she had to, like, pause, take a second, like, wait, 1880, there was a picture of Queen Victoria. Like, she did the math really quick in her head, like, okay, never mind.
She was like, right, because you actually, okay, you're right.
Okay, you're right.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I also love the movie in the TV references. Like, yeah, I love Nerdy Bill. It's one of my favorite things.
And she's just like, cool. I think you'll really like that. Everybody dies. She's like giving the doctor a list of movies to watch. Exactly. It's like, okay, so we're gonna have movie night on the TARDIS, just so you know. This is my selection. But I also really love that. I mean, her character is very Abed from Community, because and any character that's like the nerdy character that makes like all the geeky references, but Abed was probably the one from TV that I related to the most. Growing up sounds weird because Community's not that old, but it was sort of the character that I related to a lot, because I literally make references to TV all the time. All of how I understand most of life is just making a reference to something from TV. It's like, oh, that's like Star Wars. Oh, that's like Harry Potter. Usually it's just like, that's like Harry Potter. But I really appreciate having a black female character have that, because the nerdy character is never a black woman. Right. Just never. So I really, really appreciated that. And I mean, obviously this is not new for her character at all. She's been doing this since the beginning, but she made 3 separate references to, like, sci-fi nerdy stuff, and she's just like, you don't know that reference? Like,
right.
You should obviously know that reference. And
right.
she was like really excited about it. She was just like, oh, and then the guy's eyes get gouged out, and she's like, wait, I'm on Mars. I gotta remember where I am.
My favorite thing though too,
which is
that,
what
like,
I do.
Right, totally.
That's what I do.
I identify with this really, really strongly, and then I appreciated that the doctor like countered that with a reference from Disney. Though I was like,
yes, he's trying.
He was. He said that's a movie. I was like, yeah, we all know it's a movie. It's fine.
I know, and also no one from Mars or 1881 knows what a movie is. Right.
That too.
Like. Neither the aliens, like, that was literally a reference for Bill, which I did appreciate, but he didn't need to specify that it was a movie. He could just been like, from Frozen, and like they looked at each other like, hey, you did it, you know. Like, but I really enjoy the way that their relationship is progressing, in that he makes a movie reference towards the end of this episode, because he's like, hey, this is a way I can connect with Bill and like make her smile or whatever. It was like a really cool little subtle moment for me, especially when you put it up also next to, she fell down that hole, and he's like, Bill, like, I just really love how like upset he was that she was gone somewhere. So I like the progression of their relationship and how it has been close from the sort of beginning, but the way that they've organically built it, in terms of like, in the first episode they had like months together that we didn't see every second of, where she was like gradually getting to know him as this weird dude, and then now she's getting to know him as like who he actually is, the doctor. So the way that they've had them get closer and like become more, I don't know, relaxed with each other, more interested in like making the other person smile, and not just when their lives are in danger, but also their lives are always in danger, so that's hard to actually judge.
Yeah.
And I guess what I'm actually saying is that the way that he's making her smile is like more specific to her as a person, as opposed to just like him making a joke to like lighten the mood. It's like very like, I'm gonna do this in this way because this is something that you do, and it's something we can bond over, as opposed to just being like, ha ha ha, I made a joke.
Right.
You know, it's very tailored towards her. So it's like, he's taking her into consideration, and I'm just going to really miss their pairing, and I just really want them to keep Bill. And, I mean, low-key, I also am like, can we keep Capaldi? Like, maybe they just aren't announcing anything because they're going to give us, like, one more season of Capaldi. He's like, wait, I changed my mind. This is actually really good right now, so I'm just not going to leave. That would be a great surprise. But I want to obviously keep Bill. I'm just going to make sure that we say that every
definitely, I just, at least one more season. Yeah. Come on.
Yeah.
Yeah, the last two companions each had like 2.5 seasons.
Yeah.
So, I don't see the problem.
I really loved Bill. So the doctor's like, oh, we need a distraction, and Bill's like, I'm on it. And then she's like, let's talk woman to woman. And I really love that scene, partially because of what we were talking about and sort of the way that the episode tries to sort of do a girl power thing, but also because it kind of shows Bill's confidence in herself. Like, she's ready to take on stuff and be the distraction while the doctor goes and does stuff. Like, she's not scared. She doesn't really, she like kind of has a moment of resolve, like, it's gonna be me, I got you. But she was ready. She was just like prepared, you know? And I just really love that because it shows how much she's grown. And I mean, she just spent like a whole episode mentally like trying to fight and hold on to those memories of like, you know, traveling with the doctor and stuff. So it's really fun to see the increase in independence that she's had since she's met the doctor, where it's like she can hold her own, obviously, but also even with the doctor around, she's starting to be the one to take charge and be like, I got you, I'm here, we on it, let's do this, and like, let's save the day.
And I'm not gonna lie, I was a little nervous when he said like, I need a distraction. I was like, before she responded, I was like, because I'm so used to like, I don't know, because like things always go wrong, and so in my head I'm like, always stick with the doctor. Just follow him everywhere. Don't split up. That's a terrible idea. And so when he said that, I was like, you're just gonna leave her and let her be in the line of fire. But then she was like on it and like did it, and I was like, you're right. Like they're like she's actually like a capable person and like lit as fuck. So let me chill and not be so like terrified for her well-being. It's like she's got this.
I'm scared for you, but also you're awesome and can handle yourself. But also I'm scared for you, but also you're awesome and you can handle yourself. Yeah, I think we're just gonna constantly be torn between the two because that's just who Bill is. She is a precious being who needs to be protected, but also we love her and call her a precious being because she's fierce and awesome and knows how to handle herself. Yep. Exactly. So I guess we can do quotes from the TARDIS because there was not quite enough Bill for us to have more Bill feels. But if you're listening and have more Bill feels, we will always take them in our mentions because I'm always ready to talk about Bill. There was like a post going around yesterday where I was like, you may be awesome, but you're not Bill and a Christmas cracker over her afro awesome. And I'm like, you're right. But also I could pull that off because she's my twin sister. So, like, at Christmas I can just cosplay.
Okay.
At Christmas I'm just going to cosplay as Bill by having a crown over my afro. It's going to be great.
It's a good plan.
So, yay, quotes from the TARDIS. Like I said, I think I quoted this earlier, but it's like the way that Bill was like mentioning movies and the doctor's like, I haven't heard of them. She's like, but you'd like that one. Everybody dies. And it's like, he would. He's like, oh, I'll put it on my list.
Right. There was the one for the Terminator. I forgot where she said. She was like, you like that one. There are robots.
Oh, there are like, evil robots.
He was like, ooh. Yes. He was like, ooh, I'm going to check that out. And then I immediately thought of Robin, too, when she said that. And I was like, Robin's not going to like that reference. She's really not going to like that reference. But it's
cannot mention the evil robots.
She's like, I'm not traveling with the 12th Doctor because he messes with robots.
Well, actually, she could because he hasn't watched those movies. So she'd be fine.
It's true.
Until now, because now he's going to watch them with Bill.
Exactly. He says, Friday is the last of his kind. Is he now?
Dr. 12 loves the last of his kind.
Oh, yeah.
And then he wasn't the last of his kind, but it's literally his favorite thing. It's his jam. If somebody's the last of their kind, the doctor's immediately going to help him. Like, he wasn't at all that prepared to, like, jump in and help. And then they're like, Friday's the last of his kind. It's just like, you don't say. My curiosity is piqued.
Exactly. Like, interesting. Let's have this conversation. Yeah.
The doctor says, I have a bad feeling about this. And I was like, yes, Star Wars reference. Have too many Star Trek references the last, those 2 episodes in a row. So I'm happy there was a Star Wars reference this time.
What does the pink thing say?
I cackled.
I appreciated that.
I cackled. I was like, okay, Iraxa, I see you. The pink thing. We are both surrounded by noisy males. I would value your opinion. Which, yes, going back to the girl. But also,
she wasn't wrong.
She wasn't wrong. But now I'm also thinking, because of what you said earlier about, like, why does she recognize gender roles in that same way? She's an ancient alien that's 5,000 years old. I mean, I guess mankind has been around from before that.
Do they
so
really
maybe
know?
That's why.
But do they? Have they even had?
But she immediately
recognized. And
she immediately recognized her as a female of this race, and I'm like, how did you know?
Right, and then do you even, like, know patriarchy in this? Like, does your society, like, have that as a system? I was just confused about, like, that being
because she's a queen, so maybe they shouldn't have that. Like, I feel like, why would our Ice Warriors... Like, it just is interesting that in a lot of what we've seen from Doctor Who, unless they're, like, no dudes, every alien race that we've seen is sort of, like, kind of mimics like human gender roles and like the traditional they're like not, or it's not distinct like the Daleks or like the Cybermen. Right.
Like,
yes.
You don't ever
unless there's no difference or there's only one or the other. Yeah. It's just interesting that every single ancient alien race kind of recognizes like, hey, Usually it's like this. Like, at least have somebody be like, why are you like this? Why are the men in charge? That's dumb.
Right.
I would have loved
idea.
for Araxa to be like, why are your men in charge? They are idiots.
Right.
You should obviously be in charge. And Bill would have been like, yeah, you're right.
Yeah, it's true. It's a good question. And she says, we're sort of police. Speak for yourself. I'm like, Doctor, you literally have police box on your phone, but on your TARDIS, but it's cool.
It's literally the only reason why she said that. It's
Right.
because they came in a police box. She black. She's not trying to actually be police.
Right. Like, come on, fam.
I dare say the British Army continued to take a bunch of upright crocodiles. And I was like, I honestly don't think y'all could take a bunch of regular crocodiles.
No.
To be honest. Like, they would get swarmed by a bunch of crocodiles, and a bunch of them would still die. So I don't actually trust you, British Army.
Mm-mm. How's it looking out there? All quiet. It's traditional at this point to say, too quiet. The Doctor is annoying. I would be so irritated with him for saying that. Like, what's wrong with you? Like, why would you jinx it on purpose? Because it's tradition. No.
Yes, obviously.
You see where tradition has gotten us, all these British colonials in fucking Mars. Like, you see where it's gotten us. Why would you go there?
You're on another planet and you're still trying to colonize. Like, what's wrong with you? Like, it's just like, is there a fetish for colonialism? Like, you just cannot help yourself. Just like every time you go anywhere, it's like, ooh, this is mine.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous.
It's a thing. Don't understand
there's no setting for wood. There's no setting for wood. Why is there still no setting for wood? I don't know, Doctor. You need to figure it out.
Wasn't that your invention?
You've made it, like, several times. You've made several different ones. You would think that
Right.
at some point it would do wood. But that seems like a personal problem that you need to study up on.
It's been thousands of years,
classes.
fam, that you've had the screwdriver. And you still
You
haven't
are
figured it out.
2,000 years old. You are 2,000 years old. And a little bit older than that if you count, like, the mental gymnastics that you've had to go through all of your life. So, like, at some point, you've had 7 seconds to sit down. Like, in the 50 years that you've been stuck on Earth not doing nothing, you could have been like, how do I get the sonic screwdriver to work on wood? Right. And then you could have figured it out. But what were you doing in those 50 years? Who knows? Teaching students anything that comes into your brain. Yep. Except for how to make the sonic screwdriver work on wood.
Yep. It's a bad plan. Anyway. One good blast from the Gargantua here, and your army will be on ice forever, trapped in an eternal winter, like Frozen. It's a movie.
Again, the aliens and the men from 1881
have no idea what a movie is.
Do not know what a movie is.
Nope.
That was only for Bill, and she definitely knows that is a movie. He's so corny. Oh, Granddad. That was a very Granddad joke.
It was.
It's a movie. Like, I know a reference. Congratulations. Here's applause.
Mm-hmm.
That man was not one of us. Please don't judge humanity by his cruelty or my cowardice. I really appreciated his
disagreed with that, which is why I put it in there, because I was just like, really? Because humans are trash. Like, you have this entire infantry on Mars to colonize Mars, and they're not supposed to judge humanity by that? I don't understand. It wasn't just him. It was clearly all of y'all made this decision, so I'm confused about what's going on.
I appreciated his honesty in that moment of, like, he included himself with the cowardice, but you're absolutely right. Humanity is either terrible or cowardly. We're either cruel or cowardly.
Except the Doctor, because that's against his code as the Doctor. Apparently.
And he's not human.
Right. But I was just like...
And except Belle, because she's awesome.
Right, because she's awesome. But yeah, because I was just like, when he said that, I was like, but we just spent this whole time talking about colonialism, which is not one person. Definitely was not one person.
Definitely, what's the word that we have to remember to use when talking about these things? Oh, I don't know. Systemic.
Right.
A series of systems that are in place that allowed colonialism to happen, including the werewolf in charge in Britain.
Mm-hmm. She's the head one.
Well, even the ones that, even when we like her, we have to remember, she was like, okay, but then go to India. Oh, and then she was probably like, hey, what you doing? It's like, oh, we in South Africa, we saw this alien. Go up there too.
Right.
Have at it. Cheerio. Pip pip. Have fun. Let me know what you find.
Right.
I'll be here. Mourning my husband. Being a werewolf.
It's just a mess. It's fine. It was a good sentiment. This is what I can say about that.
He tried.
Quote. He
really tried.
Yeah.
But he was also wrong. You knew that would happen. Or Bill was like, you knew that would happen. And the doctor's like, it's always been my problem thinking like a warrior. It's interesting that he says that, because we spent so much time with 11 sort of fighting that word, or like being confused about, like doctor in certain languages actually means warrior.
Mm-hmm.
And then obviously we don't have to talk about all the stuff with Danny and not liking a soldier.
Nope.
But it's interesting because the doctor is sort of always about peace as opposed to fighting, but he did, break up the Time War. So a lot of he's got so many hang-ups because he's been like forced to be a warrior, but he just wants to like run around and have fun, but he's always pulled into these conflicts.
Right.
So he's always thinking about it, and in this case, he kind of knew what would happen, and it was true.
And it was fine.
Yeah.
Lots of people got turned into little, like little snap pack things. Well,
I still don't understand what
everyone
happened.
else lived.
I'm like, what if they didn't kill them? What if they just landed back on Earth
and
naked?
Or they're just like compacted, and then you just like reverse the shooting, right, or something, and then they're like, oh cool, I'm good, I'm alive.
Poof.
Something.
So, because of our personal headcanons, everybody lives.
Yep.
I don't think that's what actually happens, but yes.
It did in our brains.
That's what we've decided. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
We decided, great.
Everyone lives. Homeboy gets to go marry Alice. That's cool. Yeah. Everything.
I love how I know Alice's name. Don't know his.
Nope.
That's partially just probably my fault.
They may have said it, but like not a lot of times. Yeah. I also watched Doctor Who with the subtitles on because one, because I'm taking notes, but sometimes BBC's BBC America, their volume levels are like weird and low. Also,
sometimes I'm just like, okay, you said that really Britishly. What was that?
Like, I have no idea what that said. Go back, read it. Like,
let me rewind that just a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I still don't remember what his name was. They might have said it, but I just don't remember. Cool. So check us out at blackgirlscreate.org. Read Connie's writing at the New York Daily News. Follow us on Twitter at WeBlackandNerds, at Yana_Hollows, at Robin_Ravenclaw, at Constar24. And you can use the hashtag Tarbis to talk about your thoughts and like how you felt about this episode and other episodes and all of Doctor Who. As well as our argument on who is allowed on the Tarbis. I mean, your Tarbis, your personal Tarbis, because Danny Pink can't join ours. That's just a rule, and it's just what it is. But if you would like to talk about who you want on your Tarbis, that's fine. Join our Slack, where we have a channel dedicated to conversations about Doctor Who. And yeah.
Don't forget to rate and review us on iTunes or wherever you're listening to this podcast so that other people can also listen to our thoughts about being Black Whovians. And so that you can also, just like in the comments, just be like, oh snap, this like awesome show, displays this really great perspective on, being a time traveler and just how cool that is, just like slip something in there, just like type it up just a little bit and just like post it and just be like, hey you guys, everybody, listen to this podcast.
I mean, Connie just wrote half of it for you, so like, it's really not that difficult at this point. like a 5-second
just,
thing.
Rate and review us wherever you find us, and just be like, hey guys, on the Twitters, be like, hey, what's up?
Yep.
Tell all your friends.
Basically. So thank you for listening. You can join us next week when we discuss episode 10, The Eaters of Light. So we have 4 more episodes until the end of this season.
Sure.
So we're getting a regeneration soon.
3 and then Christmas.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I was forgetting about Christmas. Is he regenerating during Christmas?
I'm not sure. I think I heard that he was, but I also think that they're not trying to be clear on that.
Right. Because they haven't announced
I think they're being
who the
shady
new
about
doctor
it.
is either.
No.
And I feel like we knew it was Capaldi. We did, and that was actually when I officially came into Doctor Who, was when was the 50th anniversary episode, and his eyes were in that episode.
It's been that recent?
Yeah, because I didn't pay. Robin was she came and took over our television. I was in school, and I just hadn't. I wasn't really watching a lot of TV when I was in school, actually. And so so she came to our house and was like, this is the thing that's happening. I'm gonna be here all day. You're not gonna get to use your television because I'm watching Doctor Who. And I was like, only person she told was my mom too, so she just showed up and was like, all right, we're doing this, and all of us are doing what? I don't know what you're talking about. But yeah, so then I watched it with her, and then I after that I binged. It was 7 seasons. Yeah, I binged all the 7 seasons.
Gotcha.
And then I think I was I finished in time for the Christmas special? No. I finished, but I finished maybe a couple weeks after the Christmas special, and then I was yeah. So season 8 was really my first live season watching, which
interesting. Sorry.
Yeah. I know, right? Right?
Yikes.
But by now I've seen most of the episodes at least twice. Now I'm all the way. But yeah, it was really recent.
But I can't remember when, because I can't remember if that year had, because I remember season 7 was the sort of split year.
Oh, I forgot they used to do
where
them,
they had
a
7A and a 7B. I want to say.
Yeah,
because
split up like that
of the first part with Amy and the second part with Clara. So I can't remember how that worked in terms of when they announced, when it aired in the year, because if it were around this time. Because I know the 50th anniversary was in November, so they had announced him then, but I can't remember how much before that they'd announced Capaldi.
Right.
And I don't know either if they had announced him before.
I think they announced him before it, because Robin told me, as we were watching it, she was like, Peter Capaldi is the new Doctor, and I was like, I don't know who that is, but that's great. But yeah, I'm not sure. I don't know how far in it. I don't know. I feel like they're trying to be really mysterious about it this time.
Yeah, extra mysterious.
Yeah.
So we'll see how that goes.
Yeah.
And if it's that guy that they one of those tabloids in the UK was it's this dude because we have inside information, but they've totally lied before. So it's do you actually know, or you're he left that other show, so it obviously must be him. Okay, right. People leave shows all the time. So yeah, I guess we'll see, because it's only a few episodes. Without Christmas, it's only 3 left. So I don't know if they're going to announce it before the season ends.
How many episodes in the season?
I think it's usually 13 plus Christmas. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I feel 9 had all 2-parters, but then the last one.
Yeah, it was a weird. It was kind of a 2-parter, but it was kind of a 3-parter.
Right. I feel they always have 13. So it's 3 more plus Christmas, and so we only got 3 weeks left. Mm-hmm. So they either go announce now or
10.
somewhere.
We still have to count 10.
Yeah.
So 10, 11, 12, 13.
Yeah. So a month left. So I don't know if they're going to announce it now or if they're going to wait till... Because I guess it depends on if he starts to regenerate in 13. Mm-hmm. Because obviously regeneration could take however long they feel like it, depending on how they write it.
Right. Christmas, I'm still regenerating, but it's cool. Let's save some people.
Exactly.
That's true. That could actually be an interesting way to show regeneration, though, because we haven't seen it in that way yet. So
yeah, usually it's cool. Oh snap, it's a flash of light, but he's
cool.
also
I'm good. I'm good. Just a little, you know what I'm saying? Just have to expel some energy.
Because
let's go. Let's do this.
He kind of, I mean, 10 kind of had a long regeneration.
Yeah, he was asleep for an entire episode.
No, I mean when he regenerated into 11.
End. That's true. He got to, like, go
because he kind of
like
went in the box, I think, and like was suffering, and then he came out and was like I think then he did the tour and was just like, well, I'm dying. Oh, it's happening now. Okay, so it took a while. So who knows if which way they'll go with it for 12. So
right, and 11 got a whole ass monologue before he went. So we'll see.
Exactly.
It was a great monologue, but it was a monologue.
Yep.
Yeah.
Exactly. So let us know when you guys think that they'll announce when the new Doctor, and if you think it's going to be another white dude or not.
Wow.
It's definitely going to be a dude, and I'm okay with that.
I want it to be Alfred Enoch. That's my goal. That's my... But the other thing is, like, if he isn't the 13th Doctor, that's fine. He's young. He has time. It's cool. I'm not mad.
He just has to, come into his family legacy, you know?
That's what I'm saying. Take your time. Yeah. Do other things. That's fine.
At the very least, he just needs to show up on the show. Really.
Yeah.
That would be great. So we'll see.
He can also be a companion. I'm cool with that, too. Mostly,
we went a really long time.
Yeah,
we went a really long time after our closeout segment. So
let y'all go.
That was a fun on-brand tangent, but it is time to go.
Yeah.
So we'll see you in the time vortex, guys.
Bye.
The black girls have the box.